Airial, if I could marry her brain, it would be amazing.
If you need anything technical.
She is down to earth. She's fun. She's very easy to network with.
Anything systems oriented.
Just anything web dev techie that I don't understand, Airial has swooped in and fixed. And she's my accountability bulldog.
She is a queen.
Anything infrastructure related.
She is helpful, and she helps guide and answer all your questions that you have about growing your business and networking and getting started.
She gives me life. I mean, she just gives me life.
Airial Re'nal is your girl. Welcome to the TrepTECH podcast with your host, Airial Re'nal.
I just want to marry her brain. She's a genius.
Hey, yo, what's up and welcome to TrepTECH podcast. I just woke you up the same way I woke Airial up this morning. Airial, as you all know by now, is our lovely, kind, generous, thoughtful, intelligent host, and I am the co-host, which is honestly probably the most fun I've ever had at a job. Airial, what's up?
Hey, I love how you came in with that. So much energy. Yeah.
It's literally your wake-up call this morning. Hey, yo, do you need a minute to get your life together?
And I was like, I need more sleep. And then you messaged me again, and I'm like, he's not going to give me a break.
No, I am like that really annoying dog who like needs to pee in the morning and like pulls off your blankets and then like tugs at your ankle of your pajamas and like barks at you until you're ready to record. I harass you.
Yep. True story.
But you need it.
I'm awake now. I don't know for how long, but I'm awake.
And the reason why you're so sleepy is you stayed up all night working, of course, which we often do. For those of you who are listening in and wonder what it takes to run a business, sometimes it does take late nights. Sometimes we just are really dumb with our time and work all night long. There's no other way to put it. Sometimes you just...
I'm gonna focus on the positive. I was being productive.
Oh, sometimes, I swear, sometimes I get stuck in like a workflow and like I'll look up from my clock and it's been 3 days. Like 72 hours have gone. I've suddenly like, when I started this business, I didn't have a beard. Let's put it that way. But my wife loves the beard and therefore she loves the business, which is, you know, all a man can ask for really. So I want to talk about that if that's cool with you.
That's cool. Go ahead.
Unsupportive or supportive spouses, like your spouse, do they love your business? Do they not? I used to host a radio show called Almost Easy. And when I set out a Q&A to my audience, one of the things that someone brought up was, how do you deal with a spouse that does not support your dreams?
Yeah, that's really tough.
You know, I was so grateful to get the question, but my heart broke when I read it. Because I was like, that's a rough situation. And I know what that feels like. And, you know, that can be really difficult. But I wanted to bring it up because I know that a lot of people who are just starting out in business, when they go to tell their family and their friends, they're like, yeah, whatever, okay, you know, like they don't care. Or they tell you what a bad idea it is and how you're going to go broke and everything's going to go bust. But those are just family and friends. You know, when you go home at night, you don't have to deal with them. But your spouse or your partner is a completely different story. And I would love to get your take on that. You know, like, is it important? Do you need them on board? Do you have any experiences with an unsupportive spouse and how did you navigate it, or an unsupportive partner? How did you navigate it? Because like I've got my side of the story, but it's only one side.
Oh, so I'm going to have to be angry. You're going to wake me up and then have me going on a rant this morning. Okay, got it.
Yeah, that's why I don't know why it took you so long to get to the mic. Like you should have been here with ammo, like guns loaded and blazing. You should have been here like, just let me get a coffee and get to you. I'm ready.
Right. Oh, that's what I'm missing, my coffee. Okay, gotta go get that on break. I do have experience. It wasn't with the spouse. It was with my ex-fiance. We were together for like 7 years, so it felt like we were married. And we lived together and everything. And I started the business. Well, I've always been entrepreneurial. And when I had my candle shop, he complained because I would make the candles by hand, he would complain that I was spending too much time with that. So I let that go, and
Did you enjoy doing it?
I loved it.
Okay.
I loved creating things. I loved it. And my house always smelled good. And then to see people's reactions, oh my gosh, I loved it. Oh, I miss it.
It's different when you don't love something and your partner is like, hey, you don't love this. It's taking up a whole lot of your time. You should stop. Like, I've done that to Tor. You know, like Tor was going to work at a job she absolutely hated. And I was like, you know what? You don't really have to do this. You can work anywhere you want, or you don't have to work at all. It's up to you. I don't care. Do what you want. But I really can't stand you working in a place you hate all day long and then coming home and spending an equal amount of time being mad about it. Like, I'd rather you just be happy. I feel like that's different. Rather like than saying like, oh, you love that, but I miss you.
Yeah. But I would be in the garage. So it's like, well, why don't you come out here and sit with me or help me out?
Because that's boring or helpful.
Yeah. I'm trying not to rant. I'm really trying not to rant right now.
Keep it tasteful, but educational and very like, you're allowed to put some emotion in here, but just, you know.
Wait a minute. It's my show. So as I was saying, so I stopped making the candles and I went into a direct sales company called Pink Zebra, and I was all into it. And I traveled a lot. He ended up becoming a consultant under me, and he also traveled with me. So I guess that helped with that part. But when I got into doing what I do now, the coaching and everything, I stayed at home because when I had the candle shop and Pink Zebra, I was still in the military. I did Pink Zebra a little bit after I got out of the military. And then when I started coaching and stuff, I was completely at home. And he would complain that I didn't go to bed when he went to bed. And that's a trigger for me because my grandmother used to always make me go to bed at a certain time. And I'm like, I'm grown. I'm not sleepy right now. You're the one who has to get up and go to a 9 to 5. I'm sleeping in until my body says, wake up. And then I'll get up, do work. And then when I talk to my clients, it's usually after they get off from work. So it's like 6, 7, 8, maybe 9 o'clock at night. But I was okay with it because it was how my body's timing would work. But it really, really got to the point where we ended up breaking up.
Okay. And so like throughout this whole thing, did you feel like you were being held back, or did you feel like you weren't being supportive? Did you try to talk to that, like to your fiance? Like, how did you go about navigating it or trying to make your side of things heard?
All of the above.
Okay.
There were times, so like one of his if he was to tell it, he said his biggest thing was I wouldn't go to bed when he went to bed. And he would go to bed maybe between 10 and 11 o'clock at night. And that's when I would catch my second wind because the world was quiet, like the internet was quiet. So I'm like, let me get all the other stuff, my admin stuff in my business done. Plus, whenever I went to bed with him, he'd fall asleep in like 2 seconds. I would toss and turn. So I'm like, if I'm tossing and turning, I might as well be doing something productive.
Right. Yeah.
And so that was a big, big deal. And then by the time I fell asleep, it'd be probably like 4 or 5 in the morning when he was waking up. I would fall asleep in the other room, and he was just heated about it. And then I worked with my times because I knew he will come home for lunch. And then usually he would come home early from work. So I would make it to where I didn't work lunchtime so we could spend lunchtime together.
Okay.
But then I take like 2 hours off from lunch, and I would put all electronics away and fix him lunch. Then he would get home and he'd be on that darn gone phone all lunch time. And it drove me crazy because he'd be playing like games. And I'm like, well, damn, if you're going to sit up here and play games, I might as well be doing something productive. So it really, I told you I can rant about this because it really fired me up, man.
Yeah. Well, on the bed thing, like, and just for the record, like, I'm not saying by any means that Tor is an unsupportive spouse. Tor is probably the most supportive partner I've ever had. So I just want to like completely put that out there that like most of my rantings about this are not current, but like in the sense of Tor and I, like, oh, I can't count how many times I don't go to bed with her. I can't count how many times like I'll work throughout the day. You know, like I was just telling you, I wake up in the morning, I let Tor sleep in. Okay. I spend time with Scotland. Do I get mad about having to be the only one up? Like have always being the one to wake up? Always, 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 always. You know what? Once in a while I do. Once in a while it pops into my head and I'm like, oh man, why do I always got to be the one up at like 7, 6:30, 7:45? There are times that my alarm goes off at 9 and I'm still mad about it, you know, just because I'm the first one up always. But when I think about it, Tor is way, way nicer when she is rested. And so like, why wouldn't I want that for both her, well, for everyone, her, Scotland, and myself, right? Why wouldn't I want a properly rested lady? So we go wake her up. She gets up, typically takes a while to get up. She's slow to get up. She loves her bed. But during that time, like Scotland and I are hanging out, singing songs, watching cartoons. Fast forward, she takes Scotland all day long, okay? All day. And then I come down at like 5:30, hang out with Scotland and her for the evening. I'm usually like, we do bath time. I give Scotland a bath. We sing, we play, and then we put her to bed. Tor always puts her to bed. And then usually by that time, I have work to catch up on, right? So I look at Tor and I'm like, hey, I got to work, you know, and you could tell sometimes it bugs her. So she'll ask me like, what do you absolutely have to do and what can wait? And for me, I'm like, nothing can wait ever. I need to get it all done now. Because business.
Right.
I'm so passionate and I'm such a workaholic and I love what I do so much. And I'm also like, my clients all make me very nervous. I'm going to be honest there. Like I could be delivering at 100% at all times. And the second I dip to a 99, I'm like, oh, everyone's going to notice. So when I get into that like anxious, high stress place, she pulls me back down and she's like, I need you to come down here now, watch a movie with me, you know, like stay off your laptop for a while. Like she's really supportive.
She puts her foot down. Sounds like it.
She does sometimes. Like last night, I was dealing with team stuff and just chatting with my team until probably like 11. And she just wrote a message. I'm going to bed soon. Will you come to bed with me?
I love it. I love it.
So I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'll come to bed with you. So I did. I laid with her till she fell asleep. And then
you got up.
And then I laid there for a while and I was like, yeah, this sleep thing's not happening for me right now. So I tiptoed out of the room. I went downstairs and I got some more things done. And then I did come back up and fall asleep in another room just because I didn't want to wake her.
Right.
But when we woke up in the morning, you think she was mad about being able to starfish in the whole bed?
No.
Do you think she was mad whenever I got up and tiptoed into the room and played with Scotland in the crib and then took her out of the room and let her sleep for another hour and a half?
Nope.
No. Like she wasn't heated about, you know, me falling asleep elsewhere, not going to bed when she did. There are times I'm up until 3 a.m. 3 a.m.
I need a Tor in my life.
I think everyone does, but I'll tell you right now, she's fiery. She's got a temper on her, and that's when shit hits the fan hard.
That's okay. That's okay.
See, I don't like to be bossed around, which is why I became a boss. Is so I don't boss people around. I like with my team, I delegate and polite suggestions. Would you mind getting this done if you've got the time? Like,
yeah, but Tor keeps you on task.
But so when Tor bosses me around, I'm like, would you mind finding a better way to say that? Like, that's where we have our trouble is like,
oh, now you know how I feel when it comes to this podcast. Okay.
I do know how you feel, which is why I have a lot of fun with it.
Got it. You're taking it out on me. Got it.
I am. I'm repressed, Airial. Help me. No, I'm kidding. But no, like, and so when I think of your situation and I see the dynamics, like the difference in the dynamic, it's amazing to me what an unsupportive spouse and someone who's not on board with your dreams versus someone who is on board with your dreams but doesn't quite appreciate the abuse you're handing yourself. Yeah. It's a different story, right? Because I could yell and scream and moan that like mentor makes me shut my work down, and she gets angry at me when I work too much and start neglecting my household responsibilities. Or
But that's different because she actually supports you and she does give you that time. What did you say, like 10 to 6? She gives you that time to do work.
yeah.
Have that.
No, you had, and like I make it a point to shut down my work midday at some point to go sit down and just like talk for a little bit with them both, just because it breaks up the day, and I know she appreciates it. It's like a little reprieve from Scotland. But like, we weren't always a perfect team dynamic. There were times like when Scotland wasn't in the picture, or even when she was newly in the picture, that we were each other's worst enemies. But we had to learn that, first of all, that's not helpful.
Right.
Second of all, it's hurting everyone involved, including the little one. Even if we don't argue in front of her, the feeling, the vibe, everything that goes on in the room is rough. And like, my clients aren't benefiting. Like, we were just at each other's throats. So we started realizing that being on each other's team is actually going to help us build together. But like, when I think back to past relationships, I think the biggest thing was that the women in my life wanted to distract me.
Ooh.
As soon as they felt like the attention was shifted away from them, they wanted it back.
Oh, that's what I went through, but it wasn't a woman, it was a guy.
Yeah.
Yes,
And so like,
yes.
and that's where like I see pictures of Ryan Reynolds like groping his wife's butt on Instagram, and there's always a motivational quote over that, and it says, the right woman will encourage you, the wrong woman will distract you. And I resonate with that quote, because like, every time I would sit down to work, a fight would start. Or if I would have to go somewhere to do something, a fight would start, or there'd be pouting or sulking or some kind of just really immature behavior.
Mine got to the point that it affected my mental illness. And you were there, you watched it unfold, where he would come in and say, okay, the mortgage is due, or this is due. Like, I didn't know, because I used to pay all the bills by myself anyway. The mortgage is due, the electricity's due. And I'm like, okay, well, I need to do some work in my business so I can make the money. But as soon as I start doing the work, you get upset because, I don't know, you're in a tipsy. Don't you have something else to do? Don't you have friends or something to do? But it's like, even when he had something to do, like to referee or go out of town, he still expected me to be like ready and on point whenever he did come home. Even though his schedule varied, he's like, I'm home now. I need you to pay attention to me, but I'm going to play a game. And that, I'm going to be on the phone. That pissed me off. Oh, the highest festivity. I'm telling you.
I'm just thinking about, like, for me, I used to smoke. I used to drink. I used to smoke a lot of pot, like a lot of pot. And I remember one time I had this meeting that I wanted to attend with like a really powerful human being as far as like business and finance and all this. And he actually he blocked off a half an hour to talk to me. And I was stoked about it. Like, I was so, those moments where like you're about to meet your hero,
Yeah.
and like your heart is in your throat and you feel like a little kid about to get on a roller coaster again. Well, I had that feeling, and that's the best high for me in the world. Like, that beats any kind of narcotic high I could ever get.
Yes.
That feeling like I'm about to fucking accomplish something or talk to someone or do the impossible. I'm about to do that next level shit. And one of my exes like legit threw a fit because I didn't want to sit down and get high with her, because I didn't want to be stoned for the meeting.
Wow.
Like, that to me is like the ultimate, like, if that isn't just someone waving like, those air traffic control lights screaming, I want to hold you back in life. Like, that right there was the moment I went, huh, okay.
That's when you got to put your foot down and realize what it is that you truly want. And sometimes those people are not always in that vision. And let me tell you, it was hard. I loved him. I loved me some him, but it was so hard to the point that I was getting depressed. I was really like suffering from anxiety. I was just miserable. I couldn't serve my clients because I was always miserable. And then I remember one day late in December of that year, I wrote my vision board or my little sayings to keep in my office to keep as reminders. And one of the things that I wrote on there is I completely release whatever energy is holding me back from success. As soon as I finished writing that sentence, he walked in the room and he was like, I'm leaving you.
You weren't even sad. You're probably like, okay, fold up the piece of paper, stuff it in your pocket.
Yeah, I was like, wow, okay, was that like a this is your sign kind of thing? I was like, I don't know how to feel right now. Like, what the fuck you mean you're walking out? What the fuck you mean you're leaving? Who else you gonna find better than me? Nobody. What the hell? And then it's like, I completely release whatever energy is holding me back. And he just walked in here. I guess that's what's been holding me back. So just dealing with that. And it was just crazy how it happened and how it all fell off. But I can tell the difference now. And now whenever somebody comes into my life, they have to realize my business is everything to me. I'm willing to compromise and make sacrifices and spend time together. But if you're going to pick up that damn phone, that's a trigger for me. If you're going to pick up that damn phone and do like some Candy Crush or some kind of games or just look at stupid videos, then I'm going to go and do something productive.
Well, pretty
and that's
much.
just and that's my hard limits. Those are my boundaries. I'm like, you got to be able to support me in my business. If you can't support me at all, we can't be together.
And we're going to have a talk about boundaries, because I think that's a really big one that we should talk about at some point, because I'm horrible at them. And I think it's good to expose our weaknesses just a little.
Yeah, because remember how I would always come in your inbox like, why are you on Facebook? Why are you messaging me?
It's family time, Scott.
I know. But the funny thing is when I would message you and you didn't answer back, I'm like, he has the nerve not to answer me.
He's on social media, but not for me. What's going on now?
Right.
But yeah, one of the things I'll say, like, to that case in point was that, like, one of the things when Tora and I first got together, we've been friends for a long time. And so there was a mutual respect there, but she asked me like what I did now, and I let her know, and she asked what that looked like, and I let her know, and she was like, you work a lot, huh? And I was like, yeah. And so we were long distance at first. So she would call me, and she would only call me first thing in the morning. When I woke up, I would call her. We'd talk for a little bit. She'd head off to work. I would hang up. I'd start working. When she got off work for the night, she'd call me. If it was good, I'd let her know it's good. If it wasn't, she'd hang up. And then when I was done work for the night, we'd talk, and we'd talk for a couple hours. And we did that every single day for like quite some time. But the one thing that Tor understands about me is I'm a businessman first and a family man second. And they're close. Like, they are so close. It is ridiculous.
But you probably stepped on some toes with that statement.
I didn't because she got it. People around us.
Well, I'm talking about whoever's listening to this.
Oh, yeah. Like, people around us might not understand it, but she knows that because I've told her, like, business is not easy. And there are times that I've been staring down the business end of some extreme decisions. Mm-hmm. And a friend of mine had a stock job open up. And I said, look, I'm going to go do that part-time. Well, I'm going to go do that full-time. And I'm going to run my business on the side. And she flat out said no.
Wow.
She said, you're nobody's stock boy.
Oh.
She said, you used to be. You've done that. You've shown you can do it. You're good at it, but you're not there anymore. She's like, fine.
This is why you married her.
Yeah, she's like, fine.
This is why we married her, because I just claim her too.
Yeah, she's like, make your business work, because if you're not in business, you are not happy.
Exactly.
And she knows that, like, I would, and don't get me wrong, in a heartbeat, if I had to, I would drop all of this stuff. I would go get a full-time job. I'd go get 2. I'd go get 3. I'd work around the clock to make sure that this family is fed and nurtured and cared for. So there's no shame in the 9-to-5 game. I'm not saying that. If that is what your reality is right now, if you are doing the 9-to-5 and building a side hustle, kudos to you. Do that. There's no shame in financial security. Do what you got to do. But would I be fulfilled? No. And she knows that. And so that's one of the things where she knows that if she's taking me away from my business at any point, like, she kind of stops and goes, okay, no, this is important to him. But she also gives me like goals to meet. Like she was like, do you want to go fly out to Toronto for Scotland's birthday? And I was like, yes. And she's like, okay, we're going to need this much money. Can you make that? And I'm like, watch me.
You know? I'm moving to Canada.
No, it's the coolest dynamic ever, but it's not perfect. And this is one of the things that like, we're talking about unsupportive partners versus supportive partners. So if you feel like you have an unsupportive partner, I want to share some things with you that might help. If that's cool. And Airial, like, please chime in if you've got some things that you think would help people.
Go ahead.
I think the number one thing you have to do is
like, fuck them. Oh, that was my 2 cents.
yeah. The number one thing you have to do is stop giving a fuck. No, that's not completely true. It's because like, I think if you're married, it's different. If you have kids, it's different. You have to try and make it work by every means necessary first. But if you realize that you're never going to be a priority, yeah, fuck them. Cut it, run. But figure out what support looks like to you, first of all. I think it's important to know what support looks like to you.
Oh, wait a minute. That's deep. That is so true.
Honestly, like...
And I would say write it down, like journal about it, because if we don't know what we want, we can't expect other people to magically know what we want or need.
Well, yeah, the guy who wrote in the question to me on Almost Easy was a stand-up comedian, and he said his wife was unsupportive. And my first thought was like, does she give you time away from the kids to go get on stage and do your thing? When you come home, does she ask you how it went? But, you know, like that to me is a little different, but maybe she's not at all of his shows. Maybe she's not his biggest fan. And maybe that's what he needs. Maybe he needs a cheerleader. You know, I don't need a cheerleader. Tora is not my biggest fan. Like at all. Quite the opposite, actually. She loves me, she cares for me, but she is not caught up in any of the like the business Scott. She thinks he's an absolute pompous douchebag.
Yeah, true story.
Yeah, no, it's funny because like she's like, in business you think you're larger than everybody, but here at home, and I'm like, no, it's just I'm confident when I step into the business arena. That's when I'm confident and I can just get out there and do my thing. That side of me turns her off. She doesn't like it because it's not the sweet, quiet, you know, like man that she fell in love with. He's different.
That singing Beauty and the Beast with Scotland in the morning.
Oh, the Gaston song. It's all about me. I love it. So it's like a full 3 minutes of conceit. It's the best song ever. And I do it well, thanks. But, you know, like she's not supportive in that way. She's never listened to a single podcast episode of mine. At first, like the first 6 months of our relationship, she was saying podcasting was the stupidest thing ever. She thought my clients were getting ripped off. She's like, why would anyone pay you this much money to clean up something no one's going to listen to? Do you know how much that hurts to hear that from your spouse?
It hurts to hear you say it right now. I'm like, ouch.
It hurt. It's painful. And this is my dream. She's like literally taking a dump all over, you know? And I was like, like you suck, but you know, you don't understand this part of my life. So when the time,
letting you do it.
But when the time came to throw in the towel, when I was like, fuck it, I am done. I can't do this anymore. Like it's not making enough money for me. She's like, how'd you afford the plane tickets to come see me or for me to come see you? I was like, my business. How did you afford, you know, the internet and to keep us afloat all this time? My business. How are you paying, you know, your team's rent right now? My business. So she always kind of puts things into perspective that like, you don't get to quit just because you're having a bad day, because look at everything you've accomplished as a result of this, you know? So like, she's not my cheerleader. She's my trampoline. You know, when I hit the ground, she's there to just go, nope, I don't think so. I need you operating on all cylinders. Otherwise I can't go to Florida. You know?
I'm so freaking jealous right now. So if there are any single male entrepreneurs out there who are listening to this that can be Tor to my Scott.
Don't get with an entrepreneur. Two entrepreneurs together, they can build together, but they're both career oriented. Find a man who is equal parts massage therapist, chef, housekeeper, you know, just find yourself a man who's going to pamper you, baby you, and never let you quit. That's who you need.
See, that's my big brother talking.
That's who you need. He's going to pamper you, he's going to baby you, and he's never going to let you quit.
And of course, it's gonna come both ways, because I'm gonna make sure he's set. So
Well, yeah, and
anybody
Tor,
listening to this, I'm putting in my singles ad right now.
if you need a sugar mama and you can cook. But like, you know, like it wasn't always like that. And Tor doesn't pamper me. She doesn't baby me. But like this morning, she cussed me out because yesterday I literally, yeah, no, I'm serious. Like, and people would say like, oh, you guys always fight. But if you look at what we fight about, yesterday I lived on coffee until 8 p.m.
Oh,
And I went into MyFitnessPal. And when I went to log everything I ate, I literally realized that I had eaten nothing except 2 coffee all day.
wow.
And when she found that out, and that's the thing, is like I'm stupid because like I could hide this stuff from her and have a real quiet day. Like, but I'm the idiot who goes, huh, I've only had 2 coffee to eat today. And she goes, what? And then all kinds of hell breaks loose because I'm neglecting myself. And if I'm not completely running on all cylinders, this family, you know, like she basically holds me to my responsibilities. And part of that is self-care. And she'll bring me apples or she'll bring me bananas or she'll cook for me, you know, if she notices. But a lot of the time I just like, she doesn't know what I'm doing. We're independent. She does her thing. I do mine. So like, she's not going to babysit me. She's not going to be like, have you eaten today, dear? You know, that's not who she is at all.
But if you haven't eaten, she's going to be like, what the fuck?
Yeah. So her tactic is scare me into eating. But again, that's supportive in a way, right? She gives me all day to deal with work while she handles Scotland. That is supportive. If I come up to her with some big, bright business idea, people would think that she is the most unsupportive person in the world. Because when I come up with her with a business idea, she fucking shoots holes in it. Like full-blown light machine gun fire. Pop, 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 holes all through the ship. And
Sounds
then
familiar.
I sit there and I'm like,
because you do that to me.
yeah. But then I sit there and I'm like, man, my idea has all of these holes in it. I got to go fix all this.
Yeah, you needed to hear that.
So then I'll go and I'll address every single point she brought up as to why she thinks it wouldn't work, or she thinks people wouldn't receive it well, or she thinks it's going to take too much time away from this or that or the other thing. She's big on feeling. Like if she gets a bad feeling about something and I ask her why, she'll be able to say like, I don't know, it could be this, it could be that. And it gives me reason to go examine what the issue could be. So that's supportive to me in a weird way, because while it hurts my feelings up front because I didn't just have the greatest idea in the world, if I set my ego aside, I see that she's just saying it won't work because once you find a solution to these holes, it may work, you know? And sometimes just what she's saying is absolute, like not applicable, but that's just because she's not a business person.
Mm-hmm.
And so she doesn't have all the info, but a lot of the time she's fucking right, Airial. Like she gets things intuitively, and it's very rare that she says something that doesn't pan out to be true somewhere down the line. So I've learned how to listen to her, accept the support she does bring to the table, because her idea of support and mine are different.
That's the importance of communication, knowing yourself enough to be able to articulate your needs and wants, and then being able to speak with your significant other about it and have a conversation about it.
Yeah, and if you need a cheerleader, like if I needed a cheerleader, I wouldn't be happy with Tor. Luckily, I don't. I'm my own cheerleader. Like, I'm literally everything I do. I'm like, wow, you did that. That is so cool. Good for you. Pat on your own damn back. No one else is going to do it for you. Get out there and do the next thing, right?
I cheer you on.
Yes, and that's great, and I love it.
Oh, it's not good enough. Okay.
I don't need it. I appreciate it when it comes, and I do love it. And don't get me wrong, like I roll in it. I'm like, yeah, I love this. Like, thank you.
You really sound like an ass right now.
I know, and it's really sad. But the truth of my personality is that like I'm a self-starter. I don't need any reason but my own to go do something. And typically, like my own reason is literally like, I want to help Airial build an entire business. Let's do this. I want to do this. And that's all the motivation I need, is just Airial's going to benefit at the end of the day. And if I can find a way to come out with a win, fuck yeah. Like that's what motivates me. So someone in the background with pom-poms going, go Scott. I get why some people would get a dopamine rush and that would like really propel them forward. But for me, like I'm purpose driven. I don't need the cheering. So if I needed that, Tor would be the worst person for me. What I need is when I hit the ground hard, go Scott is also not going to help. Right? Like a cheerleader's depth to be able to help you back up off the ground isn't always the best.
Ooh, good point.
But Tor will be like, no, you failed. You did a stupid thing. Like, you didn't watch your finances, or you didn't put enough, you didn't do market research, or you didn't, like, how did you ever think this was going to work? Take notes, get at it again. It's going to work this time, I bet you. And it didn't, but she still told me it would, and I believed her. You know, but that's the thing, is like, she's that person who, like, if I'm about to hit the ground, she makes sure I don't. I've thrown in the towel like 8 separate times on this business, and she keeps throwing it back at me. Wipe yourself off with it. Let's go.
Because there's a many times you'll want to quit. Many times.
So knowing what support looks like for you so you can communicate it. That's number 1. Number 2 is, do you need it from your spouse? Airial just said she cheers me on. Maybe I can go get my cheerleader elsewhere at the times I need it. You know, like, is the support you need really something you need from your spouse? If you don't need it from him or her, why put that pressure on him or her? You know, like, Tor's not business. I talk business to her and she falls asleep on me.
And me, I eat it up. I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, let's do this. No, I don't like that idea, but yes.
So I don't talk to Tor about business unless it's, this business is going to change our life this way. This client just signed on and I plan on doing this for us. Or it's going to cover this bill. Or, you know, like, business to her translates to results in our life. That's it. She knows when clients stress me out because I'm sitting there with my head in my hands, like, ready to cry. She knows that. She comes over and she says, oh, things are stressing you out, you know, supportive, whatever. And that's helpful because I do get down on myself a lot. But, you know, like, I don't need her to talk business with me. I just need her to hold me sometimes. I need her to keep Scotland off my hands. I need her to understand that I'm going to be working till 3 a.m. sometimes. That's the support I need. But the cheerleading and the business talk, I can go to Airial for it.
And it's nothing inappropriate between me and Scott, y'all.
No.
But it's about finding your team that helps support you. If your spouse or significant other doesn't understand that aspect of your life, just have healthy relationships where you can talk and vent to each other.
There is no one person on earth who can be everything you need. They can be a lot of what you need. They can be a portion of what you need, but there's no person on earth who can be everything you need. And so if you're trying to change a person into that, it's not going to happen. It's going to fail. You're both going to end up depressed and angry at each other, you know? And one of my teammates, Jesse, and I know he's not going to mind me sharing this, he streams Twitch, right? He asked his wife, can you sign up for Twitch? Can you subscribe to my channel? And when I'm, you know, can you watch my streams? She signed up for Twitch. She subscribed to his channel. She didn't watch his streams. And he was getting like upset about it. You know, it was really bothering him that she wouldn't. And she was like, I don't like this stuff. It's boring. You know, she would rather come home from work and watch what she wanted to watch. And then Jesse was like, okay, well, just open it and leave it open. And she's like, yeah, but I want to use my phone for other things. So he was getting like really down on himself. Like, oh my God, my wife doesn't even support me. Who else will? You know, like, just really, I don't know. He just wanted her help so badly. And this is what I mean. Like, he wanted a cheerleader. He wanted her to be involved. And he wasn't able to articulate that to her in a way that it mattered. But what's worse is, like, he didn't look at her side of it as like, no, I'm not interested. Like, you need to go find someone who is. And he did that. He went out and he started a community and he started attracting other streamers. And next thing you know, his streams were starting to get watches, and none of them were his wife. So there was no pity watches or just like, you know, that none of that. There's none of that. It was all authentic stuff. And he could be more proud of that than he could just getting that cheerleading support from his wife. But where his wife supports him, again, if the house is getting messy, she still gives him time to stream. You know, he wants to eat healthy. She doesn't complain about eating healthy. She eats healthy with him. You know, if he wants to do anything at all, like get tattooed in his kitchen and stream it, she lets him do that kind of thing. She's so open and cool about it. She's probably there getting tattooed with him, actually. So, like, that's my point, is like, they're partners in crime, but they need to find out how to be each other's partners to the best of their ability, you know? And so he needed to figure out, okay, who can be my cheerleader if my wife can't? So he had to go out and find that other person, and he found a whole community of them, and they all do cheer him on. It's the coolest thing to watch. You know, it's like me. If I were to
look at you being all grown and mature.
It sucks when you're with poisonous people or around poisonous people, or don't know how to be not toxic to the people around you, right? Like, it's a give and take. And It's like me. If I were to call my mom to tell her like, oh my God, I just signed a client, you know what I'd get? You probably know what I'd get as a response.
I'm listening.
Oh, that's good. That's nice. That's it.
Oh, at least they're not asking you for money.
No. That's one thing I will say about my parents is like, my parents are the type of people who like, I'll call them and be like, hey, I hit a hard time. Can I borrow $20? And my mom will always have that $20 just sitting aside for me. And like, if I try to give it back to her, she gets angry at me.
Oh, see, that's not how it works with my family. It's like, oh, I signed a new client and blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay, well, can you send me some money for this or that or the third? But when I need something, no, nobody has it.
Oh, that's awesome. No, I've had that kind of experience too. Like, don't get me wrong. It's never been my parents. But that's another thing too. You know, the people who are always hitting you up for money, they're not supportive. They're not supportive of you. They're draining you. A supportive person would let you hang on to your money because then you could probably earn enough on interest to spot them every single week.
Yeah. And buy from you.
Yeah, that's just it. Your friends will buy from you. Your friends will support you. Your friends will, even if all you're selling is a $1 sticker, a friend of yours will buy it if they care.
And if they don't buy it, they'll pump you up to everybody else and refer you out so that somebody else can buy it. So
Well, that's just it.
That's
And like,
support.
I see a lot of people getting out there and getting angry at their friends and being like, oh, you didn't support me when I started my business. And it's like, no, because I don't understand your business. It doesn't apply to me, but I still like you as a person, you know? So like, you need to understand that support shows its face in a lot of different ways. My mother might not know how to react to my business, but every time I share a post saying that I have room for one more client, she is the first person to share that post out. And none of her friends care. But she's still like, she's that first person to share that post. And I'm like, thanks, Ma. That is such a waste of a click for you, but I'm so glad you did it because it shows me you care.
Right.
You
She's
know,
doing
like,
what she knows to do.
she's helping out in her own way. So don't get all uppity on your friends and your parents and your spouses if they're not supporting you your way. See if they're supporting you their way and see if that works for you, and then go get your support elsewhere. The next thing I want to talk about is a track record. Okay? What the fuck is your track record? If you have a shit track record, like you've tried to start 7 businesses and none of them are profitable, your wife should not support you right now.
You're going to hurt some feelings on that.
Entrepreneurs, and I'm sorry, but that's what I call you. If you've been in business 7 times and you haven't made a buck yet, you're a wantrepreneur. We love you, but we want you to cross over, like start making money. Join us over here in entrepreneurship. It is fucking brutal. But if you're truly meant to be here, you'll love it. If not, you'll go get a job. And that is cool. There's no shame in that.
Let me put a shameless plug in here. If you need help going from a wantpreneur to an entrepreneur, hit me up.
For real, though.
I can help you with that.
She'll have your branding on point. But yeah, so like if your track record sucks, no one's going to believe you right away. You've all heard the story of the boy that cries wolf. I tried to start a business. So I've been hustling since I was a kid, right? Selling lemonade to construction workers at inflated prices. You know, I could sell lemonade for 10 cents a cup, but if someone was doing construction, I could raise it to $1.
Dang, Scott.
Yeah, and I was a child. My mom taught me that. She was like, oh, those guys are building a house. Go set up your lemonade stand across the street. And I was like, what?
That's true. Supply and demand.
And
I
had a 10 on my sign, and she put a dot and another 0. Sure enough, like I raked in $25 that day off a lemonade stand, which is probably illegal in the States, but here we're allowed to do it. But, you know, my point, like I've tried to start a skateboarding business. It failed. I tried to start a motivational speaking business. It failed. I tried to be in a band and merch that out. It failed. So when I went to my significant other at the time who saw me do at least 2 of these 3 businesses that didn't work, do you honestly think she felt safe with me wanting to start a business?
Well, wait a minute, because there are a lot of failures on the road to success. Everything doesn't stick.
However, to the people around you, if you have never ever proven yourself to be capable of and you're going to take a risk, it's going to scare the bejesus out of them.
True.
They're not going to believe in your vision because you've never given them a reason to believe. See, you can believe in your vision. You can take the leap of faith. You can actually say like, I'm going to do this and it's going to succeed with no evidence or proof. But if you've got a wife and kids, depending on your income, you should probably have some way to prove it to your wife before she gets on board, or your husband.
Yeah, that changes the whole dynamic when you have a family to worry about.
If you can show some numbers, if you can show other examples of people who are doing it, if you can say, because like what helped me is I was like, oh no, I have a mentor. His name is Mark. He's done all of this before. He's had, I don't know how many successful businesses, and I'm learning from him. He's not going to let me fail.
Yes.
That turned into, oh, okay, go ahead. Because I had someone else's experience backing me up. I had a way to prove that this time is going to be different.
And you show that you're investing in yourself too by having that mentor or that coach.
Well, that's just it, right? And so when that whole thing started happening and I started actually, making the speaking engagements and getting paid for those and whatever, suddenly that significant other was like, oh, okay, cool. This could work. Not is going to work. This could work. This is actually bringing in money. He's not just blowing hot air, right? The issue was she never got the actual chance to see it work, because every time I sat down at the computer to do something, she would crawl into my lap and that seems like affection and it seems all cutesy and stuff. But when a man's got to set aside, or a woman's got to set aside 5 hours minimum a day to work on their business, and you're getting up into that 5 hours, they're going to suffer for it. So
yeah, it's a matter of respect. So just like, your significant other may go for a 9 to 5, a regular job. I don't come up on your job curling up in your lap. So,
like a cat.
Right? Like Simba, my cat. But just realize that this is my work and I need you to respect it as well.
Mm-hmm. And so the point of this track record is when I came to Tor, my business was already making money. Tor was like, hey, I'd like to fly out to you to visit you. Can we go halfsies on the tickets? Yeah, no problem. The money was there. A month later, can we do that again? Yeah, no problem. The money was there. We want to move in together. Can you fly out to Toronto and then we'll move to New Brunswick? We'll drive across 2 provinces and move. Yeah, no problem. She had to foot the bill for that because the money wasn't there. I didn't have it. I was at a low. When I brought that up to her, any other person, I swear, would have been like, no, I'm not footing the bill. This business thing's not working. What do you mean you can't afford to move? Blah, 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 blah. Tor was like, oh, the money's not there right now, but it will be. You can get me back.
Yeah, because she's seen you do it.
Yeah. And when the time came for her to quit her job, do you know how nervous she was? So nervous. She didn't want to quit because she was so scared that I wasn't going to be able to hold us up. Did that hurt my pride a little bit that she thought that? Yeah. Yeah, it did. I was like, what? Not going to be able to hold up, grumbling to myself, being a real mess. But when I looked at it, I was like, she has never, ever seen someone able to do this. Both of her parents worked. All of her boyfriends and stuff have worked, and she's always needed a job on top. She's never not worked in her life. Ooh. I'm going to need to come up with a very compelling case if I want her to quit.
And you're not working in an office like maybe a lawyer or insurance agent or something. You're working from home. So, okay, I can't see how that's scary as hell.
It's terrifying because I sign my own checks. There's no financial security here. I don't get a pension. I don't get benefits of any kind. Like, I don't even have health benefits. Okay, like that's my next step, is to get there, especially with Scotland and the family and everything. But as it stands right now, like, I am 100% rogue. I sign my own checks. I sign my team's checks, and that's it. Like, clients sign my checks. And so it's really like, it was scary for her at first. But she's been out of her job for this summer. It'll be a full calendar year. And she has not had to fork over any money for any reason.
Amazing.
And so now
I applaud you, Scott. I applaud you.
But now I have a track record. There's no denying that I can do this. But I had to put in the time, the effort, the energy, make the negotiations and do all of the talking and persuading. And the biggest thing is I had to prove it. I always had to have proof before I did anything.
And you had to believe in it yourself so you could
more than anyone
fight to give that proof instead of just giving up.
And now she's the most supportive person ever. And I had 2 jobs. I had to quit 2 jobs. I had to leave 2 jobs to do this full time. Now, I know people here who could not imagine telling their wife they got to quit 1 job or husband. But both of them, both of your moneymakers, you got to leave them both? And then what if a client goes away? then what? Are we screwed? And then what if this happens? Or what if that happens? You know, you're going to get all of that. And it's normal. And it's not being unsupportive. It's being afraid of something new. And as long as you've got answers, and they're real answers, don't bullshit people. As long as you've got answers, you will have that person's support. It just might not look the way you think it should look.
Damn, Scott, this was a good episode. Wow.
Rant over.
You weren't ranting. I was ranting, but you had like some good talking points and some good advice. Wow. I'll give you this one.
This topic hurts me. Like, actually, like I feel about this topic because I see so many people either shortchanging themselves or worse, shortchanging their partner, even though their partner is actually being supportive. And that makes me so mad. Get over yourself and see if your partner is helping you at all. And it might not be. Like, maybe in your case, Airial, there was no support there at all. You guys were always going to be enemies because that other person had some growing to do and they weren't open-minded enough to your dreams, more about themselves. Like, that shit does happen. And if you can't get out of it, you need to get out of it. Like, if you can't fix it, you need to get out of it if your dreams are that important to you. Yeah,
that was a toxic relationship. So
yeah, it happens. Like, you have to decide what's more important to you, the dream or the person. And if a lot of the times I will say the dream wins.
Yeah.
Even now, for me, the dream would win. And I have a child riding on that because I know I would be a better dad with my business than without it, period. You know, so like sometimes the dream will win and you can't feel bad about that. And they can't make you feel bad about that.
Thank you for tuning in to the TrepTECH podcast. But if you like what you heard, go on to Apple Podcast and bring her a 5-star review. And also, if you want to check out her service while she transforms mindsets, navigating entrepreneurship, leveraging technology, building relationships while bridging the gap in your business, check out TrepTECHacademy.com. That's TrepTECHacademy.com.